It's Jefferson, climbs the ladder. Oh my goodness!
Welcome one and welcome all. We have another preseason NFL showdown slate tonight after yesterday's affair between the Saints and Chargers. This time we get the probably the most winningest team in preseason history, at least the last decade or so. The Baltimore Ravens taking on the Washington Commanders. This is going to be a good game for fantasy purposes. I think last night was very frustrating to see Kendra Miller just stroll out there and play an entire half, despite being ruled out for the entire preseason, probably about a week earlier. So that was fun to see. And then Easton Stick playing the entire game because, quote, Brandon Staley said, the flow of the game dictated that. So we didn't get to see Max Dugan. We didn't really get to see a ton of our guy, Kirk Merritt there. You were kind of getting on there because he got hurt in the first half. Just an overall underwhelming slate, right, Kurt? How'd you fare yesterday? I didn't fare too well, but
I got bailed out by having Easton Stick as my captain in my core. So that's what I was most exposed to. In like cash, all my situation stuff, I had Easton Stick captain, and it saved me from the Dugan just disaster. And then obviously Keelan Doss and Merriweather getting like 8 was enough for me to keep the wagons still going. But like that Dugan stuff is just you're going into your third game. You have 2 quarterbacks that have played snaps, and Dugan's going into the third game with 3 passing attempts. That just blows my mind. It just like I don't know if they need to get a better look to see if they need to bring in a free agent, but that's just horrible. The guy went to a national championship last year. Like, let the kid play.
You know, the worst part is like I was literally following like some of the Chargers like writers and stuff. You're like, no Dugan yet. That's surprising. Oh, no Dugan. The fourth quarter's come around. I guess this means Dugan can play the entire game next week. And I'm like, oh my God, I was just tilting that. But yeah, new game tonight, and I'm glad you had Easton Stick captain. There was some of the smaller entry, like less than like $100 $15 and stuff like that, where basically Easton Stick captain could have guided you into a top 5 finish. That's kind of what saved my night relatively, to the main contest. But tonight, like I said, new night. We have the Baltimore Ravens with a clear-cut quarterback rotation tonight, especially with Tyler Huntley set to miss the game completely. So it should be Josh Johnson and Anthony Brown. And then you look over on the Washington side of the ball, and basically Howell should play a decent bit. It looks like we have a 3-way split. I would say that it wouldn't surprise me to see Howell get a lot of snaps here, just because he won the job. Week 2 could be used as the new barometer test. I know it used to be that week 3 the starters would play the most. Maybe it belongs to week 2 now, Kurt. But yeah, let's start with these quarterbacks. And I see you have the playbook up on site. Code NFL20, 20% off for life. We have the showdown playbook for the preseason will be free, and it is already up on site, and we will have the projections a little closer to lock for free as well on the site. So yeah, it should be a fun one. Kurt, go ahead and break down these quarterback situations for me.
I'm on like kind of both sides of the spectrum. Like I see, okay, maybe Hal plays a little bit more today. And then I'm like, well, maybe they had the joint practices, maybe he plays less. So therefore, I'm just going to settle in the middle ground. I think the quarterbacks do the same exact thing as last week. I think it's going to be 30, 30, 30. I mean, as to who gets the most is probably on who has the longest drive or some shit like that. But yeah, I expect 30, 30, 30 again. And then on the opposite side of the ball, we have a much clearer situation. If you want to take a shot on some of the Washington guys, you can, but it's not really for me. I'd rather just play kicker.
So speaking about that, I think I don't want to completely rule out Sam Howell. I don't. I can rule out Brissett a little bit. I can maybe rule out Fromm, but I know the 3 quarterback situations are gross, but Howell last week still put up 8 fantasy points in just a couple drives, really, it felt like. Obviously, he led a touchdown drive. He's got ability with his legs as well. I think Howell in this team, let's say they the starters are playing a quarter and a half and stuff. I'm very fine with stacking McLaren with Howell on a few teams. So I think I'll have a little bit more Howell than like Brissett or Fromm. But then on the Ravens side of the ball, I mean, yeah, it's Brown and Josh Johnson. I mean, both these guys have ability with their legs. Obviously, Josh Johnson is really getting up there in age. So he's not really I wouldn't say he's going to use them a ton. But we do have mobility with both these quarterbacks. I think Anthony Brown could be kind of sneaky in the second half. I mean, we saw it with Dugan yesterday. As frustrating as it was with Dugan, he was completely under-owned. I'll say it. Like, I was shocked to see 30% owned. I think a lot of people were referring to the box score last week with Dugan. Only 3 passes, 4 rushing attempts, like for 20 yards or whatever, I think. And I just think we get a clear half of Anthony Brown. I'm down for it all day of the week. I think he might be my favorite captain play. Kurt, what do you think?
I think I want to agree there. And yeah, Dugan was, with his mobility and everything, like just so low owned, and they just didn't get punished at all. It's really hurtful, but I think you just jam both these guys in. Both have that running ability. Both can pass it respectably. At least they showed that to me last week. And unless we have like a Kendry Miller situation where Tyler Huntley was going to play with that bum shoulder for no reason, don't even know why he played last week, but he kind of bothered it a tiny bit. So Escape came out and said it. So it's a little bit more safe. Whereas last week, it was just last night, it was all the beat writers were telling us this one thing. So the coaches came out in public. He said, this is what it'll be. So I'm going to jam in both these guys. I like the how call, like in MME and stuff. I'm just mostly talking about single entry, but like, when we talk MME, I think throwing in House perfectly fine. I mean, 30% for a guy who's capable and will be going against backups. So Baltimore will have backups. So that's nice to know that he'll have his first unit going against the Baltimore backups, even though they have incredible depth. Still like that, even for the 30% of snaps. Terry Mapp, I think he played the lower. I didn't even think he played all the snaps with Howe, which is a little concerning. Let me see.
Who, Terry Mack?
31. Okay, yeah, he played most of the snaps with. Yeah. I thought he played like 19% of snaps, but no, it was 31% and 19 snaps. So yeah, Terry Mack's fine to stack. Same thing with Jahan Dotson, or maybe even Cole Tucker, the tight end. But I think that this is a night where you can definitely get away with starting that combo.
Yeah, and obviously in Anthony Brown's short stint there with the Ravens last week, he still ran the ball 4 times. So really good to see Anthony Brown using his legs. I also wanted to mention real quick, we have a little bit of potential here with the kicking situations, right? It is clear kicker with Justin Tucker, and then for Washington, it is a clear kicker with Joey Sly, right? So just the 2 kickers tonight, which is much different than last night. When we were playing guys, I didn't have any Will Lutz. I didn't have any Cameron Dicker. I didn't have any of those guys because obviously they split the duties. Obviously, Lutz got there with a 50-yard field goal, and I think he ended up getting 11 fantasy points, which was frustrating as someone who faded him. But tonight, the kickers are very much in play, right, Kurt?
Yeah, last night was crazy. You could have played all 4. Think of how this sounds. You could have played all 4 kickers and been live to ship. If you captained Easton Stick with like Doss, you could have played all 4 kickers and literally been live to ship. And that's the most asinine thing I've ever seen in my life. Last night was just a complete disaster. Can't wait to just move on from that bullshit. Tonight can't get worse. I could lose every dime. It can't be worse than that. What just happened? So yeah, heavy on both these kickers. Obviously Tucker's he's a stud. So lean him. But I mean, Joey Sly can get like 3 30-yarders. So.
Yep, I'm completely with you there. I think we need to go to running back now. So running back situation is a little bit of a mess, especially for the Commander side of the ball. I don't think we have any interest in the Commander side, running back wise. Maybe Chris Rodriguez from the University of Kentucky, but I think you look at it, we go to the Baltimore side of the ball, and it's like Keaton Mitchell, and then maybe not a whole lot else. I mean, what do you think?
I'm going I think – for MMEs, Washington, Jonathan Williams and Chris Rodriguez both battling for that RB3 spot is really interesting. So I'm going to throw Jonathan Williams and obviously C-Rod into the MME pool. With Baltimore, I still think they give these guys a lot of snaps. Obviously, Keaton Mitchell's going to be everyone's favorite. He's going to be my favorite too because I think they want to get a little bit longer look at him. But I think we're going to be pissed at his usage, but I think there's a chance that he's extremely efficient tonight.
Love it, love it. I also want to mention Jarrett Patterson is really kind of a shifty back, small back, but he definitely has ability with his hands and stuff. So
why did they give Derek Gore so much run over Patterson? That was the most tilting thing. Derek Gore was literally the most inefficient stat line I've ever seen, but he was super involved when he was in, which is stupid. I think Patterson should have got all those snaps and all those targets and carries, but he didn't. So maybe it flip-flops and Patterson gets those because Derek Gore is absolute hot, sweaty trash.
Yeah, I'm completely with you there. That was very surprising. I wouldn't mind these snaps being spread out a little bit. I mean, obviously, I think there's a clear top guy in terms of the running back position tonight. This is a game where if it was on a regular slate, I wouldn't be interested at all in whether or not it's wrong or not. I wouldn't be interested in any of these guys. Maybe Keaton Mitchell. I mean, we played him last week. He had a long run called back that was for a touchdown. That was like the bright spot of this running back room for both teams. Was Keaton Mitchell had a long run that got called back, and he actually can catch the ball. Was very good at Eastern Carolina University with catching the ball. He showed his explosiveness last week. Is it just Keaton Mitchell and everyone else? I mean, I know we talked about the Commanders a little bit, but like, what if I just said I'm only playing Keaton Mitchell from the running back spot?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I think it's perfect. Justice Hill looked really good, but it's probably just Keaton Mitchell for me.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think anything else you want to touch on the running back spot before we move on to wide receiver?
I don't think any of them are like cash plays. I'll say that. I know Keaton's ownership is going to be high, but I don't know if you do this in cash, but like probably a good leverage spot to not play him in cash, just in case they do give Melvin Gordon, Dusty Ass some snaps again.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Penalty to Arsenal. So Arsenal just scored a penalty against my favorite team, Crystal Palace. Kurt, this is a big deal. Let's see who takes that penalty. I was hoping it would be my guy Kai Havertz, but I'm willing to bet it was Bukayo.
He is
great. It was the guy I faded. Sick. All right, so now let's go ahead and move on to wide receiver. Of all the fucking people to take that penalty, I don't get why it's him. All right, anyway, wide receiver. I think obviously we had 7 targets for Sean Ryan last week. That's a lot of fun. I also think I'm looking at it here. Little bit of a situation here where it's a much shorter wide receiver room for the Baltimore Ravens than it is the Washington Commanders, right? Is it really just like, Sean Ryan's the clear top guy, or should I be interested in a guy like James Proche, who I noticed you have in your core?
So Jeff Zubrich tweeted 2 days ago that Sean Ryan left practice with a hamstring. And that same practice, he had like the play of the day. Oh, that's hurtful. And I don't think he practiced. Let me see. Yeah, they said he didn't practice the last yesterday or the last time they had practice either. So that's something to watch because that wide receiver room's already thin. So if Sean Ryan misses, that'll be hurtful. When those hamstrings are tough, but like when you're battling for a job, you don't really have a choice. So we'll see what happens. I know Lynn Bowden didn't practice the last 2 practices before he played, and he looked fine yesterday until he inevitably got hurt again, which that guy can't stay healthy for shit.
Oh, so Sean Ryan is hurt then, really? Huh.
Yeah, I just now saw that. Jeff Zubrich tweeted 2 days ago, and then the practice report didn't have him practicing the other day either.
Perfect. Keep going now. I didn't mean to interrupt you, but yeah, that's actually an interesting caveat. I just saw him in the playbook there and saw what he did last week. So that would be some big news if he was missing. Yeah.
So we'll see if he plays. We'll know if he won't. I mean, the Ravens are pretty good about that stuff, so we'll know if he's dressed out and all that shit. But then if he's out, let me count these bodies. We got Treadwell, Proche, Bridges, Wallace, Demas, and Black. So I don't know how many I just counted. I'm dyslexic. I think 7, maybe 6. No idea. But yeah, so that's the only bodies we'd have. And I really like Proche. Treadwell has had a decent camp. I mean, I'm going to be rotating MME. I'll just say that. If you're making me pick someone in cash, I'm going to say James Proche is my favorite.
So Tariq Black, am I not mistaken? That's an NBA center. So maybe did he translate to football?
Yeah, he recently played for Olympiacos over in Greece, and now he's coming back to football at the age of like 38. So good for him.
Yeah, so I mean, it looks like Tariq Black, like 30% of the snaps last week. Maybe that goes up. I mean, obviously the starters are not going to play, and if Sean Ryan misses, like you said, Proche could be the guy. It could be, and then all of a sudden, similar to what I targeted at the wide receiver room, yesterday. I had a lot of the Hightower. Obviously, Hightower didn't do well, but we look at the Saints side. I mean, there was a couple guys
hitting targets, bro.
Yeah, the Saints threw the ball a ton, and Hightower got a lot of targets too. This short wide receiver room could definitely be a spot to target in the captain slot. So it'll be interesting. NFL 20% off. Get into our Discord. We try and get you the up-to-date news as quick as possible. So obviously, this could definitely be a situation where, Sean Ryan's not in uniform. Bump to Tariq Black, James Proche, all these guys. Tylan Wallace, an absolute college football legend. So let's move on to the Washington side of the ball with the wide receiving position. Terry McLaurin played quite a few snaps. If they are playing the starters like an extended period of time, I know you said joint practices were a big thing.
They're playing. They're gonna play.
Yeah. Which maybe they don't play a ton, right? I would only pair McLaurin. I'm trying to think. If I had Hal, I would pair him with McLaurin more so. I think I'd be more inclined to do that because I'd be bidding on Hal throwing a touchdown pass and McLaurin being effective because 3 catches for 40 yards is not going to get it done in the optimal. I don't think it is. 7 points is a good score, but I need a touchdown here. And if I did get the nut combo of Hal to McLaurin, that could be the move. I mean, you look at these other wide receivers for Washington, it's kind of gross, right? It's like I don't like the fact. I don't think Curtis Samuel should play. That dude belongs in a hospital bed.
Yeah.
Mitchell Tinsley is a guy who was very good in college. I mean, there's just a lot. It's a lot of bodies in this room. I mean, I don't know. Dotson and McLaren with Hal. Could that be a combo that works? And should I care for anyone else?
Hopefully Dotson or McLaren because both.
Yeah. Dotson's good. Okay. I have a lot of Dotson in best ball. I got to mention that. I'm not hating on Dotson at all. Dotson is one of my favorite picks in the 70s to 80s range right now in best ball.
Yeah, so many bodies. It's a couple of narratives like Kashmir Allen from UCLA, these gadget guys like Lynn Bowden. I mean, Lynn Bowden got hurt super early and would have played a lot more. He still was close to hitting the optimal yesterday. So these gadget guys I always have interest in. He does some of the end rounds. He does that Curtis Samuel role. I talked about in the playbook, but I'm sure some people are too lazy to read. But yes, he's in the Curtis Samuel role when he's out there. Played, let's see. Played only 16% of the snaps, but was decently involved when he's out there. So just keep that in mind. If the starters don't play as long, this guy could get a bump. It's tough from here. I talk about in the playbook the Brian Pringle angle, where if he returns a kick, like a kickoff for a touchdown, then you get the double points with the Commanders defense. I mean, that's how this slate is. Like the fact that I'm even mentioning that is very gross, but I mean, there's so much. This is a very gross slate. This is the defensive kicker slate, boys.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here. Yesterday felt like the complete opposite, right? Obviously, I was a little bit wrong. The Saints defense did incredible because the offensive line for the Chargers was literally Swiss cheese. But I do think that this is a defense and kicker slate relative to yesterday when I was kind of feeling the exact opposite. Anthony G in the chat, Max Duggan gets 100% of the snaps next game, right? Yeah, probably. Only if I fade, though. If I play him, Easton Stick will still play 100% of the game. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. The tight end position here for both teams is way more intriguing in a showdown format than I expected it to be. And that's because we have guys who have produced at college with Charlie Collier and even a guy who's bidding to become the starting tight end for the Commanders, and that is Cole Turner. Cole Turner played a little bit last year in the regular season, obviously did really well last week with 4 catches. I don't hate him at all. I'm just worried, does he get enough work is my concern with Turner. But I do like Collier. Obviously, Volacek, I think he basically had two targets and did really well with them. Collier also had 2 targets and did really nothing with them, right? So could I expect a flip? Could I expect more Collier work, Kurt? What's the situation with Collier this week?
Man, I would. I'd go right back to him. I think he had a chance to score here. And Cole Turner – to play the exact same amount of snaps as Hal. So I think you just make the rule of in your Hal lineups, you have Hal or Dotson or Terry McLaren. And just that's the only way you play the Hal teams because he's just not going to get any other run besides that. I thought maybe last week he would play a little bit with the 2 since they're so thin at tight end, but just an indication that they believe in the kid. And he's definitely going to battle with Logan Thomas, a.k.a. Glass Man.
And so that's a good point. How many snaps did Likely play? Did you know?
Yeah, it was – I think he banged something up. I got it right in front of me. Likely played 17% of the snaps. I think it was going to be more – I was watching the game. I think he might have got, dinged up or something, and there was no point in bringing him back. We have Easy Sniper. He's the Ravens fan. He'll probably have a better recollection of that. I mean, I'm pretty sure he would have played, probably 25-ish, nothing crazy, not much more. And I don't know if he's going to play, this week either. If he does, I'll have interest.
Likely won't play this week, so it should be Collier getting a small boost.
Oh, yeah. I literally said that in the playbook. This is what I mean. I'm foggy, but that's what I don't like the other guy. He's mostly a blocker, despite what he did last week. So give me all the Charlie Collier, and then like I mentioned, the Hal stacks on the way back. I mean, if you don't play Hal, I don't even. This is a gross situation in Washington. It's super gross. Jonathan Williams played 1 snap last week, but he's in that competition with Rodriguez. You have to think he gets an opportunity here. Stack the Ravens.
So. Josh D says he's heard the Ravens are just using Tucker tonight, but also heard they're using 2 kickers. Do they have 2 kickers even on their roster, Kurt?
Not that I've seen.
Unless someone pulls a Chad Ochocinco and starts
Why would you? Why? That's just disrespectful to Tucker even to have somebody in the camp. So I don't think they do.
I mean, injuries happen. You want to secure the guy. I can see it. But I don't know if they even have a second kicker on the roster. And for why would they have another kicker? What if Tucker got hurt? You stash a guy that you ended up liking on your practice squad.
You can't stash a freaking kicker, Rubio.
What?
Come on. No one's stashing a kicker. That's a waste of a spot you have on
No. Practice squad. Practice. I mean, the Bengals stashed Kevin Huber on their damn practice squad, bro. Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah,
both teams only have one kicker.
He's a good
Thank you,
punter.
Dante. I'm trying to confirm that, too. I believe that's the case. I didn't see any second kicker on the Ravens roster. Defenses, Kurt. Any interest in the captain tonight? Obviously, we're going to have interest in the flex. Any interest in the captain, though?
I think I hate that. I hate this because I think it's just not optimal. But I think I'm going to have a little bit of the Commanders because they're playing those starters like a quarter and a half. They have an excellent defensive line. Josh Johnson can maybe give them a quick one early, and they take it to the crib. So I will have a little bit of the Commanders. I mean, I don't think I'm doing the Ravens, like unless I'm doing the 150. They won't be in my captain spot. I'll have them, but they won't be my captain spot. So just Commanders are the captain spot for me in 20 max stuff.
So as someone who saw Josh Johnson play in that playoff game last year, I'm definitely going to have some Washington Commanders defense in my captain slot. Just a bit. It won't be too much. The shocking part to me yesterday was the Chargers coming in under 50% owned in the flex spot. So that was very intriguing to me. I think that they got captain at 8% clip. So I do want to be a little bit overweight on my teams. I think I'll be like above 10% for the most part, I believe, on the captain slot for the Washington Commanders. And then on the Ravens side of the ball, I think I'll probably just sprinkle in a little bit of a captain spot and then, kind of play them in the flex otherwise, because we need defenses to score well. I mean, they're going to score well. If they get 3 sacks and a turnover, it's really hard for these defenses to not get 5 to 8 points. And we all know the upside is far greater than that in this season too. So I'm kind of reluctant to do the defense in the captain spot, but I think I'm really going to be doing that tonight with how limited the options that we have. Maybe if Sean Ryan misses, I'll have like maybe James Proche, Tariq Black, Tylan Wallace. Maybe I don't think Wallace will play a ton. Maybe not. Who knows? Maybe I'll have that interest because I like playing a skilled player in the captain slot. We saw it work with Austin Watkins. We saw it even what almost worked yesterday too, right, Kurt?
Yeah, man. Like that was such a bad beat for Cody. Like, I mean, Dan gave us the stats. He captained Miller 8% and having the flex 21%, which isn't that crazy once it came out that he was going to start like 5 minutes before lock. Still didn't think he played that much, but what it spoke to me was that low-owned skill guys that are still going to be out there and have the ability to make a big play is just the straight nut. Like any sub 5% skill guy you can captain, nut.
All right, this is funny. I think they got us flipped, Kurt. I think my name must be on yours. Yeah, I'll be honest. No, I'm just getting
bucket
fat.
hat does wonders, bro. You put it on, it's like
no. I'm just getting fat. So kickers. Obviously, we mentioned on the top of the show. I kind of switched the order on us, but Tucker and Sly both very strong plays tonight. Obviously, I like Tucker a little bit more than Sly. Riverboat Ron does tend to go for it on 4th down a little bit more than most, which I love. But also hurts the kicker's outlook just slightly. I don't think I'm going to knock Sly here, especially in a preseason game. But Sly was probably the worst fantasy kicker last year, if I had to guess. So I think he was. Tucker, obviously, one of the best.
Do you think that, okay, there's a lot of things you can attribute to how good the Ravens have been in the preseason. It's probably just a mix of everything, but like, how much is it just how automatic Tucker is in the preseason? Like, I think you can put him at captain tonight, by the way, too. Like, just having a guy that automatic go out there, get you 3 points. And these low-scoring games, like, that adds up. Like, 60-yarder, easy money.
God, I'm going to huff some glue and then put him at the captain slot because I kind of agree. And I didn't want to agree, Kurt, but I can just see
12 points. Like, you can just casually roll out there and get 12. Like, a 50-yarder.
Yeah, if I said 11 or 12, I mean, I think we would have to sprinkle him in the captain because there's a decent shot at that point he could be the top scorer. Yeah. And we want the top scorer on the slate. I mean, that's what – and at the end of the day, obviously, it's fairly obvious, especially in a showdown format where everyone's the same price. I want the top scoring guy in my team. Can Tucker get there? I think he can. I won't captain Sly. I won't do that. But I'll captain Tucker a little bit. I'm not going to go overboard on it or anything like that, but yeah, I think that might be the move. Yeah, I was just about to say that.
No, so look, we got to
take off.
That's funny. So we got to be careful with that because they should have lost the last game. It was a great comeback. In this game, he's really pushing the luck with like a quarter and a half versus the Ravens backups. So I'd be careful. just doing that because it feels like it's probably due for a loss. Probably should have lost last week. And now he's like, okay, you know what? No starters. We're going to go against the Commander starters. It's risky.
Yeah, no, and the Ravens are a very, very slim favorite. It actually opened up at 2, and since has fallen to -1 on the DK Sportsbook app. So, I mean, if you are a believer in streaks, you got to go right back to the Harbaugh coach team, right? But I think I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm picking the Ravens or the Commanders for a preseason game, but I see some people saying the Commanders end the streak. Even at the top of the show, we had Mike M saying Commanders end it. I think someone else as well. So, and then we also had what was it? We the People on the Commanders. It seems, you guys are on the Commanders. I haven't heard anyone say that they're on the Ravens. What was that? Oh, you're on mute, Kurt. Thank you.
God, fuck my life. Chris made a good point about wing blitzing. I mean, I'm pretty sure, like, when did the streak start? The streak started what?
6 years ago or something.
6 years ago?
7 years ago, because I think COVID, we didn't play preseason games.
Yeah. So that's a good point. I think it's just a mix of like a bunch of stuff. Yeah. You know what? I'm taking a stand. Let me get Commanders money line. Let's go.
All right, we're going to do it a little bit differently. We're going to give our plays of the day now, Kurt. All right, we can do low owned, high owned. All right, and then I want us to dive into props right after that. All right, just a little bit of prop talk. All right. So
I mean, Jameis Winston smashed his yesterday.
Oh, he absolutely did. And so did Kendra Miller if he had props. So I think let's go ahead and get into your plays of the day. One high owned, one low owned, and tell us why.
Oh wait, am I good? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So yesterday it would have changed. After like the news came out with Hightower and everything, I would have came off Pokey Wilson, would have said Kirk Merritt was my low owned, and he got hurt, so it didn't matter. The low owned guy today, we're going to go. Man, let me get Jonathan Williams. Let me get him to play some more snaps and fall in the end zone as a low owned dart. And as a chalky piece, give me. Actually, he's not going to be chalky. Give me James Proche. I don't know why. I got a feeling about James Proche tonight. He's not going to be high.
I love it. And speaking of prop talk, Max Duggan did not hit his props. You're absolutely right.
It got voided, though. It got voided, damn it.
It got voided. DNP, baby. All right, so tight end. I'm going for my low owned play. It's clear as day. I backed him last week. He had 2 catches for 30 yards or 2 catches for 14 yards. This week, I'm going right back to him. I like the fact that Likely is missing. I think Kolar is a very good talent at the tight end position. He needs to score to get to the optimal. At the end of the day, a tight end does. That's why he's low owned. Charlie Kolar is my low owned play of the day. For my high owned play of the day, you know what? The Ravens are favorites right now. You know what? I'm going to join the people. I'm going to join We the People saying on the Commanders to end the streak. Commanders defense, my play of the day. I know taking a whole defense is my play of the day, but I think I've seen Josh Johnson play quarterback enough. I'm not going to sit here and not say the Commanders are a great play. So that is my favorite play of the day. That'll also be super chalk. And let's get into some prop talk, Kurt. So I'm going to throw out a few lines here for you. Both Josh Johnson and Anthony Brown's props are 86.5, basically. You like the overs on those with a half played?
You know what? Just because Johnson's going to see most of his time with the Commander starters, give me the under on Josh Johnson.
86.5?
Fantasy points.
Oh, 6.55 fantasy points. All right, I like it lower. All right. I like it. And then Anthony Brown, 6.35 fantasy points. He ran the ball a lot.
You're going
ran
over.
The ball a lot for a guy who barely played in that game. He had, what was it? I'm checking the stats out right now. 20 yards rushing or 15 yards rushing on 4 attempts with literally just a quarter played, basically, right?
Yeah.
So give me the over on that, on his fantasy points prop on Underdog, because I'm looking at it here. And if you do sign up for Underdog, we got a promo code RunPure deposit match up to $100 on that site as well. 6.35 fantasy points. Anthony Brown higher. I like that. We'll skip Sean Ryan just due to him being questionable. Tariq Black actually has slightly better props than Sean Ryan, believe that or not. James Proche as the top props from wide receivers at 27.5 receiving yards, 3.75 fantasy points. What side are you on there?
I'm going to go to it. I think Tariq Black is more likely to get a bomb. So give me like over 25.5 receiving yards for him. And then James Proche can just catch like 4 screens. So give me the over on fantasy points for him.
I like it. Just need a few catches and then basically 18 yards, and you're already there. So I mean, that's not bad at all. I'll take that. Gonna throw out Melvin Gordon, 28.5 rushing and receiving yards. Melvin Gordon really getting a bunch of these.
Hammer the under. Probably.
Do you think he has a chance to make the team?
I think Easy Money Snipe said no, he's probably getting cut. So, but how much do you need to give him as an exhibition? Like, even if you're cutting him, who gives a shit?
The reason why I'm worried about that, not that he's a huge pass catcher. Obviously, he had 7 touches of the ball last week for 25 yards. I'm just worried they cranked that workload up just slightly. I don't know. Melvin Gordon, that's a gross one. Melvin Gordon, I could easily see getting into the fucking end zone and tilting me big time, man. I'll tell you that right now. Jake Fromm, 60.5 passing yards. Howell, 72.5. Whoa. These seem, I mean, it makes sense, but they're a little bit low with these passing yards on all 3 of the Commanders' quarterbacks. What do you see anyone that pops out, or are you just staying away from all 3?
Howell against the backups with some pretty solid targets. I'll go over on Sam Howell, 72.5.
So 4.25 fantasy points. You'd rather just have, because he does rush the ball a little bit.
I know. Just give me the yards though.
I like it. Let's see here. Just a couple more. I mean, receiving props wise, the Washington Commanders, as we noted, really lower props compared to the Ravens wide receivers. Kazmir Allen, you liked him earlier as a gadget guy, 18.5 receiving yards. Does that intrigue you at all? Not really.
Not really. Because I mean, he could do it like an end around and take it to the house, shit like that.
Jarrett Patterson, 3.15 fantasy. These I don't like touching the Commanders props outside maybe Hal. These look gross.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, let's do a quick rundown here. We like the Anthony Brown over on fantasy points, 6.35 fantasy points on Underdog. Like I said, we have a promo code RUNPURE. Get $100 up to matching your deposit. So basically, if you deposit 100, you'll get 100 back. Tariq Black, we like the over 25.5 there. James Proche, over 3.75 fantasy points. I didn't touch on the Melvin Gordon one. And then Sam Howell, over 72.5 passing yards against the backups. And then we like Josh Johnson's under 6.55 fantasy points as well. Anything else you want to add for the people, Kurt, before we sign off?
No, let's end the week on a higher note than last week, and then we'll be right back at it Thursday.
We absolutely will. Everyone have a great rest of your day and run pure right about now.